Welcome to CBSEasy.
All right, exams are just around the corner, and if you're looking for a super fast crash course on a really important chapter, you are in the right place. Today, we are tackling print culture and the modern world. We're going to break it all down, quick and easy. Let's get right into it. I mean, seriously, just stop and think about that for a second. A world with no textbooks, no newspapers, not even a funny meme to share? We are absolutely swimming in printed and digital text all day, every day. But this world didn't just appear out of nowhere. It has a history, and understanding that history is how we understand our modern world. So let's rewind the clock. Before print became a thing, getting your hands on any kind of information was a completely different ballgame. It was slow, it was painstaking, and it was, well, pretty exclusive. Let's see what that actually looked like. Okay, take a look at this. Before printing presses, if you wanted a copy of a book, a highly skilled person, a scribe, had to sit down and write the entire thing out by hand. I'm talking every single word, every single page. It's kind of like asking your friend to hand copy their entire year's worth of notes for you before the final exam. Can you even imagine? It meant every book was basically a one-of-a-kind, handmade piece of art, a luxury item. And this really gets to the heart of the problem, doesn't it? This system just wasn't built for a world of spreading ideas. For starters, manuscripts were unbelievably expensive. They were also fragile, a total pain to carry around and read, and making just one copy could take months or even years. All this meant that knowledge was basically locked up, accessible only to the super rich, the powerful, and religious institutions. The world was crying out for a better, faster, cheaper way. And the first glimmer of a solution actually came from East Asia. What you're looking at is a page from something called the Diamond Sutra. It's the oldest surviving printed book from Japan, and it dates all the way back to the year 868, and it was made using a really clever piece of tech that was the first major step forward. And that technology was woodblock printing. The idea was simple but pretty brilliant for its time. You'd carve an entire page, text, pictures and all, onto a block of wood. Then you'd ink it up and press paper onto it to get a print. This was way, way faster than handwriting for sure, but it still had its limits. You had to carve a brand new block for every single page. The world needed another leap. And this is where our story really catches fire. We're going to shift our focus now over to Europe and to one man who was about to completely change the course of human history. So, meet Johann Gutenberg from Germany. This guy was a total genius, not just because he invented something new, but because he was amazing at combining existing technologies. He took stuff like the screw press used to make wine and olive oil, and he merged it with his own incredible invention, movable metal type. This was the breakthrough everyone had been waiting for. So what was the big deal? Well, it all comes down to this number, 250. What is that? That is how many sheets of paper Gutenberg's press could print on one side in a single hour. When you compare that to a scribe handwriting one page at a time, this was basically light speed. It was a massive, massive leap forward. And what's so fascinating is how they made the transition. This here is a page from the very first book Gutenberg printed on his press, the Bible. But look closely. Even though it was made by a machine, it was designed to look exactly like a fancy, handwritten manuscript. They even left blank spaces in the margins so that artists could come in later and hand paint all those beautiful, colorful borders. All right, quick pop quiz for your exam prep. The first book printed by Gutenberg was A, B, or C. Take a second. Yep, if you said B, the Bible, you are absolutely right. Definitely remember that one. It's a classic question. Okay, so Gutenberg has lit the fuse. Now we're going to watch the explosion. This new technology didn't just spread slowly. It completely took over Europe, totally reshaping society. The floodgates of information were officially thrown wide open. I mean, just look at these numbers. They are absolutely mind-blowing. In the late 1400s, Europe produced about 20 million books. Just 100 years later, that number skyrocketed to 200 million. That's not just an increase, that is an information explosion. It was basically the 16th century version of the internet suddenly appearing out of nowhere, a true revolution. So this is the key. When your exam asks you, what was the print revolution? This is your answer. At its core, it was the huge shift from hand printing to mechanical printing. But more importantly, it totally changed how people got information, which in turn changed how they saw the world, their leaders, and themselves. See, an explosion of books meant an explosion of ideas. For the very first time, new, radical, and sometimes even dangerous thoughts could spread quickly and cheaply. They could reach far beyond the castles and monasteries, and this started to shake the very foundations of power in Europe. Take Martin Luther, for example, the leader of the Protestant Reformation. He used the printing press as his main weapon, churning out pamphlets that spread his criticisms of the Catholic Church. His ideas went viral, 16th century style. He knew exactly how powerful this new tool was, calling it the ultimate gift of God. It literally allowed one man's ideas to challenge an institution that had stood for centuries. And okay, this is a huge one for your exams, so listen up. The link between print and the French Revolution. Many historians argue that print didn't just report on the revolution, it helped create the conditions for it. Think of it in 3 steps. First, it spread the big ideas from Enlightenment thinkers like Voltaire and Rousseau, who questioned everything. Second, this created a new culture of public debate where normal people started talking about and questioning authority. And third, a ton of cheap pamphlets and cartoons started to openly mock the king and queen, which destroyed their godlike image and made the idea of revolution seem possible. Now, this whole revolution wasn't just a European story. Let's bring it back home and take a look at how print culture landed in India and started a whole new chapter with its own unique story. So the printing press first touched Indian soil with Portuguese missionaries, way back in the mid-1500s in Goa. And as you can see, it started to slowly spread, with the first books in Indian languages like Tamil and Malayalam being printed, but a real game changer was in 1780, with the launch of the Bengal Gazette. This wasn't just India's first newspaper, it was the beginning of a public space where ideas could be shared and debated openly like never before. And what's so cool about print in India is how it went beyond just books for the educated elite. By the 1800s, cheap printed pictures became incredibly popular. Artists like the famous Raja Ravi Varma set up printing presses to make copies of their paintings. It meant that for the first time, even the poor could afford to buy art and hang it in their homes, creating a shared visual culture across the country. Okay, deep breath. We have flown through a ton of history at lightning speed. So now, let's just boil it all down to the absolute essential, high-yield points that you have to remember for your exams. Here we go, your top 4 takeaways. Number 1, the earliest form of print was woodblock printing, starting in East Asia. Number 2, the real game changer was Johann Gutenberg's mechanical press in Europe around the 1430s. Number 3, the print revolution that followed created a brand new reading public and helped spread the ideas that fueled huge events like the Reformation and the French Revolution. And finally, number 4, when the press came to India, it led to a boom in printing in local languages, which helped create a sense of shared identity and nationalism. Got it? Good. So let's just end with this thought. The story of print is really the story of how a new technology gave more and more people the power to share ideas and to challenge authority. It completely rewired society. So my question to you is, in our hyper-connected digital world of today, what holds that kind of revolutionary power now? Something to think about. Good luck with your studies, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching with us. See you next time.